forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles in the air.
Mr. Gio, good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
I'm very, very well. I think people are going to get a little shock this evening. One, seeing a video coming out from this channel that hasn't been fired up for, a long, long time now. And also probably seeing you sitting on the other side of me, mate. I think people will be rather surprised to see you. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to a little bit of a chat, mate, about a few things, have a little bit of fun. I'm in properly good spirits, mate. I have to say, I haven't felt this positive about West Ham for a long while. Not in the bigger picture, and when you want to go all too deep and whatever you want to do with it, but just in general, I'm excited. I've got that tingly feeling, mate, and I'm absolutely buzzing for Thursday.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think it's important to allow yourself to just be excited, allow yourself to forget about the bigger picture. And it's difficult sometimes. And obviously, I contribute to that, making videos about Sky saying Moyes is here next season. So I'm contributing to that. But over the years, doing videos, I've actually found it easier now to switch off a little bit. So when we win a game, I allow myself to get really happy. And it doesn't mean I think we're going to be good next week. It's just we want to game of football and enjoy it. And I'm like that this week. I'm really looking forward to Thursday night. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. And if we win, do you know something? I won't care about the Leeds game. It's hard, but I won't care much about the Leicester game. I'll just be looking forward to the final, really. And so I should, we could win our first major trophy for over 40 years. I'm not going to apologise for getting excited about it.
No, and mate, I'm with you there. And to be honest, mate, West Ham used to be a little bit more like that. You used to have to go to every single game, no matter what, because you never knew when we was going to have our day. It didn't you had to go to Old Trafford. You had to go to because every now and then West Ham would just turn up and give you your moment, and I loved it. And we're just having our moment again. We had it last year. Last year, I sort of turned around to myself and said, look, this might not happen for another 30 years, getting into a European semi-final. It just so happened that 12 months later, we're in exactly the same place again. So very, very fortunate, I think, mate. Very lucky. Not taking it for granted whatsoever. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying every second of it. I'm allowing myself to get excited. And what you just said there is interesting because I said we was going to touch upon this tonight. We still managed to have a little mini West Ham meltdown after last weekend. I've got to be honest, I paid the least amount of interest in that game than any other game I can remember being a West Ham fan. I can't remember any other game that I just totally wrote off, had no interest in looking at watching it on TV, no interest in going, no interest in following it as the game was going on. I just totally ignored it, to be honest with you, mate. And I always say that I think sometimes when you're one of those people who go, because you've been there, you've made that effort, you've traveled, you've taken the time out, you've spent your money. I'm not saying that you have any right to have a bigger say than anybody else or to feel a certain way, but you definitely have a larger emotional reaction.
You've invested more
when you've been there. Absolutely. So I find that natural. I'm quite happy for people to, when they've been to a game and we've played really badly, like that Brighton game that we had, for people to come out and people who were there to really react, people were really unhappy after that game. It was bad. And a lot of people said that it wasn't too dissimilar from Brentford at the weekend. So, I do understand it, but it didn't seem to be people who had gone. It seemed to be the general social media follower who still allowed themselves to get really emotional about it and start to bring in the sort of Moyes factor again. And I'd said to myself after the Man United game, no more angst with Moyes, regardless of what my feelings are and what they might be. Just don't vocalize it. Don't have any negativity in this spell because it has to be all positive and all eyes on that one thing that we need to achieve. And I had to stick with that, regardless of what happened in that match and regardless of what my feelings are. And that we saw a lot of those same things that a lot of people have been moaning about creeping back in that game. I'm just not allowing myself to get caught up in it, and I'm not allowing myself to be part of something that's a negative around West Ham at the moment. The one thing that griped me is people turning around and saying, how can they play like that and show that lack of care? I'll tell you why. Because they did it against Man United. And that was a different group of players, but that performance at Man United and put it in there allowed us to do what we did against Brentford there. And I hadn't forgot that Man United game. We pulled up trees that game. Amazing result. Look at what it's done for us now. After tonight, it's just made us completely in the clear, and none of us would have thought that we'd pretty much be safe at this point now. So we was all thinking about the Leeds game and the Leicester game. We've already done it, so I'm over the moon. What was your reaction to that Brentford game?
I wasn't arsed about the defeat. I think he did the right thing playing the players he did at the start. I think he made an error bringing on Rice and Benrahma. I thought it was a bit pointless, really. I think not quite null and void giving them a rest, but they should have had a complete rest rather than a bit of a rest. But I was actually more annoyed yesterday, not because of we got beat by Brentford, but that game summarised why I want Moyes gone, because there was no youth involved. I know Mubama got half an hour. That was it. It was a free hit. Moyes, and it doesn't matter if you think it's a free hit or not. Moyes thought it was a free hit, because look at the starting 11. That is a starting 11 of a manager that thinks this game is a free hit. That's what that was. And he still didn't play any youngsters bar Mubama. The team were crap. The players were disinterested. And this is an accumulation of mismanagement from David Moyes over the course of the season, really coming to a head, where Fornals is just completely gone as a player. Ben Johnson looks frightened of the ball at the minute. Lanzini, I thought, actually looked quite good, but yeah, that was only his second Premier League start this season. Matchday 36, his second Premier League start. His first one was on Matchday 1. He's not started a Premier League game in between. Could have been utilised a bit more. Cornet just looked terrible, but I just felt like, and after the game, Moyes said about how he doesn't want to flog the same 13, 14 players. And I thought, whoa, hang on a minute, mate. Back right up here. 2 weeks ago, Ben Johnson couldn't get on the bench because we had too many players. So that would mean we had 21 fit senior players that day. And obviously, Skamaka's injured. What do you mean you've got 13 players? You've spent 200 million. You've been at West Ham United for 3.5 years now, which is the fourth longest serving manager in the Premier League. I thought it was the third. I forgot Thomas Frank. So I've got Frank, Klopp, and Pep. They're the only managers who've been at the club longer than David Moyes in the Premier League as we speak. He's had enough time, enough transfer windows, enough money, and enough control over transfers. He might not have complete control, but he's got a lot of control over transfers to amend that squad and make it his. And he's done all that. And on Sunday, he's basically admitted that he's only got 14 players he wants to use, and that would make the other 8 redundant. That's not acceptable, in my opinion. So he's showing that he can't really manage a big squad, showing that he doesn't really want to use youth. And I'm just sick of it, really. And the football's still terrible. And also, we played the same way against Brentford as we did against Man United. We had this. So against Man U, we had Benrahma, Antonio, and Bowen. We took them out, put in Cornet, Ings, and Fornals, and we played the same way. Completely different set of players, same style. In midfield, took out Rice and Piquet, putting Downs and Lanzini, continued playing the same way. It's a completely different makeup of midfield. And I just think you've got plan A, that's it. It doesn't matter who's playing. They've just got to play the David Moyes way. And it just reminded me of why I wanted him gone. Did it upset me? Not really, because the overriding feeling at the minute is excitement for Thursday night. And it's going to take a lot to take that away from me at the moment. But yesterday summed up why I would like him to go in the summer.
I mean, and because of what I said, and I'm not allowing myself to get into the Moyes thing at the moment, I just kind of saw it as I just need him to get lucky 2 more times. That's all I need him to do. Just get lucky twice. That's all I want. I just want him to get lucky 2 more times this season. And if he can do that and fluke his way through those 2 games, then it's going to be some occasion. So that's it for me. Do I believe in him? Do I believe in the man can engineer something to win us the competition? Probably not. But do I think somehow we might get lucky? I feel like we got lucky in the first leg, mate. I really do. I think they run out of steam. I think
his tactics worked. I think Moyes' tactics worked at the London Stadium. I think stay calm, stay composed, no major errors. You know, I go back 12 months ago, the semi-final against Frankfurt. First game, we were 1-0 down after 90 seconds. Any game plans out the window. Go to the away leg, Kerswell gets sent off. Any game plans out the window. We never had a chance in that semi-final last year. 2 major incidents early on in each game killed anything. And I think I can forgive him if Thursday night he thought, I just want no major errors here. I just want to get through, no mistakes. And if we don't make any of them, we've got a chance of winning. And he was proven right. We won 2-1. Should we have won more? Possibly. Could we have won more? Possibly. The one thing that worries me a little bit is I remember us going away to Sevilla last year, and the general consensus was for the away leg, if we only lose by a goal, that's okay. Right. And Alkmaar had that consensus. The last 5-10 minutes, they were time wasting to lose 2-1. They didn't want to go for 2-2. They were taking off their attack and putting on the midfield. They were playing for 2-1. And the manager after the game said, I'm confident next week. And I thought, I bet he bloody is as well. I can't smirk at that because we lost 1-0 to Sofia and thought, here we go, game on at London Stadium. And we were proven correct. So I think Alkmaar's got a similar thing. So that makes me a little bit nervous. But I actually think Moyes, I get why he did what he did on Thursday. Do I like it? Not necessarily. Do I think we could have done more? Oh, yes. But do I accept it? Yeah.
I mean, the question is, mate, is it enough to win it? And I think that's the big, going into tomorrow night in their stadium, in their backyard, full of confidence to sort of, know that they're still in it. It's going to be tough. Is it enough in that game? I think he needs more than that. If you go to a final, you're going to need more than just don't make mistakes. And the worst thing about it is, mate, when you have that approach, normally the goal unravels you. If they do score, normally that plan sort of comes unstuck. And for whatever reason, we did do well to just stick with the task. I always felt like the goals would come. I didn't feel like we wouldn't get the couple of goals that we needed to get back in front. It was just a shame we didn't get that third because I did feel like it was coming. I felt like it was on the cards. I felt like we could get it. We had a couple of chances. We didn't quite make it happen. That just little bit of extra breathing space would have been knowing that if you went out there and you went a goal down early doors, that you still got you're still in front would have been nice. Now that early goal goes in and all of a sudden everything's level, the nerves start settling in.
My biggest worry is Antonio's fitness. If he's not fit, then my confidence will drop through the floor.
We know,
he's pivotal. He's pivotal.
Yeah, I mean, without him in the system that Moyes plays, we haven't got another player who can do what Antonio
might do in
does.
Mubama, but he won't get a goal. It'll be Ings that gets shoehorned up front.
Yeah, no, and I've got to be honest, mate. I know we have a lot of hype around Mubama. I've watched a lot of the younger lot this year, and he wasn't the one that I was picking out as being the main man. There are others. There are others there that I think are bigger players than Mubama, and for the reason why they got to where they got to. Even in the final, Mubama wasn't the man who stood out for me. And I didn't think he shone in that final. He just doesn't. I know he is a little bit of a lump. I know he's athletic for his age. I'm just not sure he could handle the physicality of a game like this.
I agree with you, but I don't think I'm asking to pick out the best player from the under 18s. I'm saying we should pick out the best player, the player within the club that's best suited to the way Moyes plays a striker. And I think Mubama ticks more boxes than what Danny Ings does, and probably more than what Maxwell Cornet does.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And we know it doesn't work with Ings, although when Ings did come on the other night, I actually thought he was the best.
And I didn't think he was bad against Brentford either. I thought he wasn't shabby. The most annoying thing was he came alive when Mubama came on the pitch next to him. Yeah. And then he had a strike partner, and then you saw, that's when he scored his goal, doing Danny Ings things, just standing in the 6-yard and reading the game. But
the thing is, with that midfield we got, with the three that we've got in there that we normally play with, Paqueta, Rice and Soucek, we rely on Bowen to do a lot of tracking back. We're relying on him covering the fullbacks all the time. And same on the other side, whoever's playing on the left side, whether it be Ben Rama, they've got to do a lot of that tracking back. If you want to play Ings up front on his own, it's important that those wide men are a bit further forward and coming inside and getting closer to him and actually matching him up at times, giving him someone to feed off of. But again, we don't seem to have it in us to be able to work out a way to do it. I don't see why with those three central midfielders, you can't come up with a way and a system of play to allow Bowen to be a bit further up the pitch and not have to cover all the time. But
Paqueta's too lazy.
And Paqueta is too lazy. We know that, and that is his biggest problem. Well, for all of his positives, for all of his ball playing ability, and for all of his technical ability that he's got, which I think we've lacked technical ability in the last few years. I think that's been one of the things we haven't had. It's really refreshing to see him bring that to the team, but he does need to work harder than what he's doing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he does work hard within a small radius. The ball's in his vicinity, he does work hard, but when the ball's down the other side of the pitch and there's a bit of tracking back to do, he's not so keen then. That's what I mean by lazy. Before someone says, oh, he puts in tackles, I'm not disagreeing, but you can put in tackles while still being lazy.
Yeah, no, totally agree, mate. Totally agree. So this season for you, mate, just touching upon sort of how we've got to where we've got to and how the season's gone. We had a lot of players who sort of, me and you, have sort of picked out in the past. No, not all one way. Not all one way. We're going to go both ways here.
I'll take it.
Both ways. There's a couple of players that you've sort of picked before, a couple of players that I've picked that we've sort of backed, and maybe things haven't quite worked out. And it's interesting to have a look at why they haven't worked out. And one that's really prominent, actually, one player that neither of us, I think, had too much of an opinion on, was Sebastian Haller. He was the first one, really, the big signing that came in, him and Anderson, really, and didn't work out. And people were sort of just putting it down to them. And then it sort of happens again. And then some other players it happens with. And every single record signing that we seem to make doesn't quite come to what we expect them to. We're seeing it again with Scamacca. It's really interesting to see why this is happening. Is it a Premier League thing? Is it a David Moyes thing? Is it? So you think it's a David Moyes thing?
100%.
And there are players in there, and let's pick this one out because he's your main, or was your main man, was Pablo Fornals. So I was never really convinced about Pablo Fornals. There was a lot of hype with him when he first came in. People love him. Mate, I still think he's a brilliant character. He clearly loves West Ham. But I've always said I think his physical ability is lacking for the Premier League. I don't think he's got enough pace for his size in the Premier League. And I don't buy into this. He tracks back and makes tackles, and I just don't buy it, mate. And sometimes when I see people think he should be a central midfielder, I just put my hands in my head and I just go, I can't see it. In terms of playing in a central attacking midfielder role, in that sort of number 10, in behind the strikers, I get it. I completely understand. I think that should be where he plays. And we very, very rarely see him there. For you, is that why he hasn't worked out and why he's so out of favour at the moment? Or
I think he's been moist. I think he's been moist. When he was at Villarreal, I don't watch La Liga football. The only foreign league I watch is Bundesliga. I don't watch Spanish football, so I never heard of him when we signed him. But I watched him in the Spain under 21s in that Euro tournament when we signed him, but it was with Spain. And he was just doing all the flicks and the tricks. He was playing next to Cabellos and what's that? I don't know where he is now. Is he at Napoli still? Fabian Rui, is that his name? The Spanish centre midfielder. Them three dominated the competition. Fornals looked good, but the thing is, there's still a review in our channel from that. Me and Charlie did the review of that game, and we said he's not quick. He looks quite slow, but he's really good technically. But he had all the skills and stuff, and you saw it in glimpses under Pellegrini. But under David Moyes, that's gone. It's gone, and this is what I feel so sorry for him, because he's now this hard-working utility player, and he's now dropped for a flair player in Paqueta. And when we played Man U, Paqueta flicked the ball over someone's head, and David Moyes gave him a standing ovation for it. If I was Fornals, I think I'd have went and lumped him. I would have been like, I used to do that, and you told me to stop it, and now I've been dropped for the guy that does it. What's going on? Why is Ben Rama getting a game and he's losing the ball and stuff? And I've been molded into this grafter, and now you don't want a grafter in your team. I've been replaced by these other two people. You speak about character, that's gone. He's not a character anymore. I seen the footage of him on Thursday night. Someone put up on social media about how he was warming up, and one of the kids asked him for his shirt, and he said yes. And after the game, he came back and gave it to him. And there's footage of him giving the kid his shirt. He just jogs over, gives the kid his shirt, a little arm around the shoulder, and jogs away again. There's no smiles, there's no selfies. A year ago, Fornals was grabbing the microphone, singing "We are massive. West Ham
Yeah.
are massive. Everywhere they go," smiling, bubbly.
Yeah.
He scored
Is
against
it
Bournemouth and
hurting
burst
him
into.
though, mate? He wanted
Of
to be
course, it
out
is.
there, didn't he? He wants to be on that pitch. He wants to
He
play
scored against
football, doesn't
Bournemouth
he?
and burst into tears.
Yeah.
Of course, it's
Yeah.
hurting him. I feel
And
sorry watching him.
and this is it, isn't it, mate? You're looking at it, and he's desperate to play. He's desperate to feature. He wants to be on that football pitch. He'll give his heart and soul. And we had that game the other day, and we all said, or there was a lot of moaning as to why the players didn't want to show why they should be picked for Thursday night. Well, the reason they didn't show it is because they know damn well they're not going to be picked on Thursday night. Someone could have come on. It could have been Flynn Downs. Flynn Downs could have gone and scored 6 goals. He still wouldn't have been picked for Thursday night. So why bother? And that's the problem. I know it's what they get paid for and everything else, but in the end, I think you just get beaten into submission. And I think that's where Fornals is feeling at the moment. You know,
Yeah.
last year, like you say, featured all the time, pivotal to everything, enjoyed the journey. There is a slight argument here, though, mate, on the other side that we come up short with him. Can we go further without him? And sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind.
I would sell him in the
It's
summer. I think he needs to go back to Spain. I think he will do better. And he's better
Yeah.
suited for Spanish football than he is the Premier League.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we've been probably a little bit guilty of holding on too long through
100%.
sentiment and
We're crap at selling players.
Yeah.
We are awful at it. We're very good at retaining our best players, but we're crap at selling the ones we don't need.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of players like that. I mean, Ginger Pele, I stood there, sign him up, Ginger Pele, all for that last game. But really, did I want us to sign him up again? Probably not. The time was done, and that was probably one time where the club did maybe do the right thing moving him on. But when he's 1 year away from a testimonial, that was probably a bit harsh on the club, to be perfectly honest. So in one way they did the right thing for a change. I think in another way they got it completely wrong, but that's just typical West Ham board, I suppose. So but yeah, it is that thing that David Moyes doesn't seem to be able to use a squad. And it's so funny with him though, isn't it? Because like you said, he turned Fornals into the utility player. He was really trying to do the same with Ben Rama. And had done for a long time. Didn't want him to give the ball away. Didn't want him to shoot from distance. Didn't want him to do all these things. Play the simple pass. Keep possession. That's what he wanted him to do. Took that sort of bit of flair out of him. But all of a sudden, because Paquette has crept in and they've got this little thing going on, he seems to be allowing it a bit more. Like you said,
It's also because Jared Bowen's goals and assists have dried up. Last season he had Bowen doing the business, so he didn't really need Ben Rama doing it. But now Bowen's not providing goals or assists. So
is that a Soufal thing, not being available as much and not being as in good a form this season? Has that knocked Bowen's confidence of there's someone behind me I can rely on?
I believe Bowen when he said before the World Cup he felt the pressure of getting into the England squad, and that's he suffered for that. I actually believe him, and I think I don't want to see him not abused per se, but I think when a player speaks out about that, I think especially in this day and age, and we're trying to encourage people talking out and stuff, and when a player opens up like that, I think we should take it at face value as much as we can and almost support the player if we can. But post World Cup, there's been a slight improvement in his performances, but not enough to sort of say that he's back to his best. Why that is, I'm not sure. I'm hoping that next season, with a summer break, he can go away and he's away to become a father to twins in the next week or two. When we've got the final, his kids are due, so he's away to become a father to twins over the summer and stuff. And I just hope that when he comes back, we see last season's Jared Bowen. But I think Moyes has almost been forced to play Ben Rama because of that lack of form from Jared Bowen.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and it's nice to see, mate. There are some times when the Paqueta thing, it annoys me when he has a simple 5-yard pass to play and he can't play it. It winds me up. I think, and the other night I almost thought as well. We've got in front with 2-1. I was very nervous that what they were doing with the knocking it around like that, we was actually going to wind them up. And at that point in time, I did start to think a little bit. Don't take the piss too much, because you're not clear sailing here. You've just about got back into the game. You're at home against the team you're expected to beat. You've just about got your noses back in front. and now you're starting to play the circus stuff. I was like, don't piss them off, because they might, you're giving them a bit of fire here and something to go, actually, do you know what? Two fingers up at you. We're going to show you that you can't do that to us. So while I like to see it and we all want to be entertained, and we've been crying out for entertainment, in that moment, I was a little bit like, if you're 4-0 up, cruising, go for it. Do you know what I mean? I weren't sure that was quite the right time, but I don't know, mate.
I won't complain. I like it. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Lovely. Well, we'll see if they go out there and do it to them and get a. But that's
there
what
is
I
a
want to
time
see.
and a place. There is a time and a place.
I want to see something on the end of it, mate. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Do you know something? I don't want to get into this because I don't want to criticize Antonio. I'm actually going to be doing a video this week or next week praising Antonio. You know about it. I'm going to be praising Antonio a lot because of just the last few months. But if we can get a more intelligent striker that can make better runs than Antonio, Paqueta will thrive. If Paqueta had Ollie Watkins up front, Ollie Watkins would be hoovering up the goals with him supplying him. Antonio's runs aren't. He's a lump. He's powerful. He's strong. He's quite quick. His runs aren't intelligent. There was one against Man United. Paqueta's pass was fantastic, but Antonio read it all wrong, and it looked like a bad pass. It wasn't. I mean, the pass was superb. It's just that Antonio tried to cut the pass off rather than run through onto it, and you could see Paqueta. You could see Antonio like, why has it got so much power on it? You could see Paqueta like, just run on to it. Why are you trying to control it? There's defenders next to you. If you control it, what are you going to do? Run. The weight of the pass is perfect. It's your run that's completely wrong here. It's not me, it's you. And I just thought if we had a better striker, then I think you would see his passes come off a little bit more. Not all of them, just some of them.
Yeah, and he's got Soucek around him as well, which, while we both agree, I think sometimes it gives Paqueta a bit of freedom. It must be hard as well. There are times where you see him and he's reluctant to play the pass to.
Oh, you can't pass to Soucek because you ain't getting it back. There's no 1-2 happening. You give it to him. Soucek won't necessarily lose it, but Soucek will turn and go backwards with it and play it safe, which is fine. But Paqueta wants almost like a Lanzini there, which is give and go. Like the stuff with Ben Rama, the two of them going down the left wing together. It's 3 or 4 passes between them, moving up the pitch. He can never do that with Soucek. Soucek's just not good enough.
Yeah, no, makes sense. And the other one, the player that we've mentioned a couple of players that we spoke about in the past. One was Vlasic, mate. I'm intrigued because
right, come on, he's not had a fair crack. You cannot possibly judge him.
I'm not, and there's no judgment here. It's just you've always stood by there's a player in there. Yeah. I always stood by I'm not sure. He's obviously got something about him, mate, because he had a real purple patch when he first went over to Torino. I know it's a different league, but it's not a two-bob league. It's not like he's playing in, the French league or something like that. He's playing in a decent, one of the top 5 leagues in the world. He had a real purple patch, was looking like they was going to snap him up. Now there's rumours that he's going to be coming back, and he's gone and scored yesterday evening, which was a really good goal. Great finish. What a strike that was. So, he's got a bit of ability about him. Even though they're talking about sending him back, he's played last night. He's got on the score sheet. Would you be happy to see him back?
No.
Nothing
to do with Moyes. What's the point? No, but what's the point? Well, basically, Moyes is proving that he doesn't want him, and he doesn't know. There's no future for him. If Moyes is a manager, there's no point having Vlasic. If we change manager, then bring it back in and let's have another look at him under a different manager. But
do you remember though, right? Because this is really quite interesting. When he first signed for us, we all thought that yes, he can play behind a striker.
Yeah.
He can also play wide, but we all thought Moyes was going to do the convert him to a striker thing, and he would be an extra striker available to us because he is quite physical. He does get stuck in. He's got a little bit of, I wouldn't say blistering pace, but he's got the same sort of pace Antonio's got. He runs with power. If he's around right now, if he was still at West Ham, like Torino used him last night and he got a goal against them on Thursday night, he's another option. And it's just one of them things where you just think, why can't you just keep people on the fringes, keep them fairly happy, keep them in and around it, because you've got then options, You
just can't do it. We've got options. Maxwell Cornet is an option. We barely see him. The last thing he needs is another option to not use. I think at the minute he's we're never going to get the 25 million, but Vlasic is at least put his value up a little bit. In our worst case, he's put himself in the shop window for other Italian clubs, because Torino, by the sounds of it, are a bit skint, and in January there was talk that they couldn't afford the 12.5 million. But that's just what we're wanting for them. There'll be a punter out there that'll take him for 10 million or something. Honestly, at this point, I would just cut our losses and just get the 10 million and try and use that correctly. But I don't have any faith in us doing that either, to be honest with you. So.
And the other one, mate, is that we probably should touch upon is Soucek this season as well, and just his fall from grace a little bit. I watched one of my videos back that I did with Baz on this channel, on when he first signed. Probably after, it might have been after the first 2 or 3 games, we did a review, and it was everything that we said then is just what we know now. So it was very struggles over a 5-yard pass, struggles with a ball at his feet, not very good at playing a pass, not very good at movement off the ball, but has an engine, will go up and down, will get on the end of things in the box, great aerial ability, and is just a workhorse, will get back, will cover. Good. At that point in time, we saw him more of a box-to-box midfielder, to be perfectly honest, and so that's what we're getting now. We've got a player who can't play a pass. We know that. We've got a player who isn't going to be really lively off the ball and give players options, and isn't going to be involved constantly in the match. But was someone who, mate, he's threatening the box at that particular time. He can't come into the box like a train most of the time and would come flying through and get on the end of something. We saw a glimmer of it at Crystal Palace the other week. He was getting it. I mean, I've never seen a player have such a terrible game and a good game at the same time. It was quite bizarre, really. But it was something that he was bringing, and we all thought, wow, we've finally got a midfielder that will get us 10 plus goals a season, and we ain't had one of them in a long time. But we're not seeing any of those positives that we used to see from him. We're not seeing that getting into the box and flying through and getting on the end of things and being a pest in the box and arriving late. And again, is that because our tactics have changed and things are different, so it don't suit him? Is it that he's just fallen away? Or is it the fact that he won Hammer of the Year, he asked for more money, he got refused, and he didn't feel appreciated? And mentally, he's never quite been the same player again.
I don't know about the contract thing. It probably pissed him off, but there's never been a lack of effort from Soucek. That's always been there. His attitude's never really been up for question. And I think it was changing his and Declan Rice's role to get more out of Declan Rice, and Soucek was sacrificed for it. I remember October, the season before last, when Moyes said Soucek's not playing that well, might have something to do with Declan Rice's role, and he didn't change anything about it. So Moyes identified the problem, but just decided to stick with what was going on. And at the end of the day, we finished 7th in the league, so you could argue Moyes was justified to do so. But just another player that, Rice is now sitting, so in theory, you'd think Soucek would be back to being box-to-box and getting the box, but he's not really. He's sometimes there, but it's not anywhere near as impactful as it was before. And actually, Paqueta's the one getting in the box and getting on headers and stuff at the minute, which is fair enough. He got that header against Bournemouth, can't really argue, but I know who had back in scoring a header, and it's not really Lucas Paqueta. No. But he got exposed against Brentford, Soucek, because Soucek's better in physical games. And I said this the first season that we had him. I remember going to Fulham and I said I wouldn't play Soucek, and I got a little stick for it. I said, but Fulham are not a physical team. Why would we play him? We don't need him. We need someone like Lanzini in there that we can cut open their defence a bit more. And Brentford are not a physical midfield. They aren't. So Soucek was able to have 5-6 touches on the ball at one time, and it made him look terrible because he didn't know what to do with it. He was just like hovering in a circle with the ball, just moving it from the outside of his right foot to the inside of his right foot, and then passing to Ben Johnson. And Lanzini would get it and sort of dribble a few yards and flick it with his right foot into a teammate. And the difference, the golfing ability was unbelievable, because Brentford allow you to play with the ball. Brentford want you to attack them. They want to play counter-attacking football. He just looked terrible yesterday with the ball at his feet, and it was just hard to watch, really. But again, I'd probably be selling him this. If we keep Moyes, there's no point in selling him because he will just go and find another Thomas Soucek. But if we've got a new manager, I think I'd be looking at offloading him and using the Declan Rice money to revamp that midfield.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense, mate. It's a weird one. It's been an odd season, like we say. We've got 2 games for Moyes to find his way through them, and it could turn into something quite special, which I really never felt was possible, because it was looking very, very doom and gloom for the vast majority of it. But we're there, mate.
We're going to win it. We're going to win it.
You've
Frankie.
been confident, mate. You've been confident. You've said that
well,
for a while now.
We should have been confident. Look, greatest respect. Look at the teams we've been up against and that are still in the competition. We've got by far the biggest wage bill in the competition, the biggest transfer budget, and it's not just West Ham. Like I said, whichever English teams in this competition next season, whether it's Spurs, Villa, or Brighton, they should go and win it next year. The English team will always be the favourites for this tournament.
Well,
always.
Leicester got there last year, semi-final, didn't they?
Yeah.
So and look at them now. So it shows you what the standard is actually like. But I don't think this team, this mob we're playing, are a bad side. They knocked it around well. I admired how much they wanted to play the ball around. I admired.
Yeah, I like it. That's my kind of style of football. I like that stuff.
I wanted to see a little bit more attacking threat from them. I wanted to see them being a little bit more direct at time, a bit more incisive, a bit more whatever. But at the end of the day, like we said, they've come to a big place. It's a massive atmosphere, huge crowd. They done what they needed to do at the end of the day. I didn't like the gamesmanship in some of it. I thought some of it was awful, mate. I thought some of it was an embarrassment. And if it was my football club, while sometimes when you're on the other side of it, and that they were giving it at times, I think at first they were laughing and sort of when we were getting frustrated, they were whatever. In the end, I think even they were a bit like, yeah, all right.
I don't mind it, because if say we win the trophy, I'm not going to look back in 10 years' time and think, but in the semi-final, we wasted a lot of time when we played Alkmaar away, didn't we? It's all about... The cups are all about who lifts it at the end, and that is it. It's just no one remembers the runner-up. Never mind anything else. You only remember who won the tournament, and that is that. So make sure Declan Rice is lifting it in Prague. That's all that matters. How we do it, how we get there. Quite frankly, I don't really care, to be honest. There's ways I'd like to do it. I'd like to go to Alkmaar and win 2-0 on Thursday. I'd like to go to the final and win 2-0. I'd like to see, I don't know, Jared Bowen score a goal because he's going to be here next season. I'd like to see Antonio get a goal because I think he deserves one. But as long as Declan Rice lifts that trophy, that's all that matters.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, mate. I'm with you. And that brings us on very nicely to why we are mainly here and why I fired up the channel today, which is the final plug. And it is the final plug now because ticket sales are very, very close to full capacity now. So it is a little plug for the fan park in Hackney Wick on Thursday night. Doors are opening at 5 o'clock. Loads of food outlets available inside the venue, lots of drinks available, lots of bars to be able to get access to drinks as well. Free massive screens, absolutely huge. So no matter where you are and no matter where you are in that sort of main space, you're always going to get a very, very good view of the match, which is really important. Well, that was something we had to have. By doing it last year was good, but one small screen, I think if you was at the back and there was a lot of people in front of you, it wasn't the most comfortable.
And these ones are higher up as well.
Much higher up, yeah, much larger. And it covers literally the whole length of the venue. So there's nowhere you're not going to be able to get a good look at it, which is good. Some general admission tickets left, which are £15 a person. So there's not loads, but they are still available, which I'll put the link down below. We do still have some VIP as well, which has its own separate room. It's a fantastic space, its own private bar, so getting a drink will be a lot easier. Will be less busy. People can go between the two spaces because we haven't overfilled it. I think sometimes you can get greedy. You can try and sell too many tickets and actually it ruins the experience for everyone. We've made sure that with the amount of tickets we sold in the main space, you'll be able to move from the VIP area downstairs if you kind of want to get involved in all the bigger atmosphere and everything that's going on. And then if you want to step away and go to where there's a bit more space, bits more seating areas, and also easier to get a drink from the bar with a lot less queue times, then you can do that. So they're available as well. They're at £35 a person, and you also get a VIP goodie bag in with that, which I believe there's some Hammers Chat merchandise in there, mate, which
A
would
few
be good.
bits and bobs, yeah.
A few bits and bobs, so that's good. We do have some tables left. We actually had one table returned to us. Tables were completely sold. They are in the main space, but slightly raised up. There's a platform. So because you're going to be sitting down, you don't want to be tipping your head back too far and looking up like that. So it's on a raised platform. So you haven't got to strain as much to look up at the screens in the main area. And it also makes sure that there's not loads of people standing in and around the tables as well. They've got their own space. So they're really good as well. They're £150 a person. So they seat 6 to 8. So 8 at a squeeze, 6 nice and comfortably. So we've got some tables still available as well. And it just all is gearing up to be a really, really good evening, mate. I'm looking forward to it. We've got a fantastic DJ who's going to be playing music all the way from opening. So going to be playing some really good tunes and general sort of music for the first couple of hours. And then as we get into that sort of hour before the kickoff time, the build-up will start to be happening. Some of the old classics and the old football relevant songs will start to come on, and it will get everyone right in the mood. And right up for the game, mate. So should be a really good evening. Hackney Wick, it's literally must be a minute walk from the station, so really easy to get to. You can actually walk from Stratford across the Olympic Park and get to it in about 20 minutes, so you don't have to go to Hackney Wick station if you don't want to, or it's a short taxi ride around from Stratford as well. So really easy for everyone to get to. And we're also going to be looking. We don't want to tempt fate, because that would be a really silly thing to do. But should we make it to the final, the date's penciled in, and I believe you will be getting involved and bringing some other extra things to the party as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The Hammers Chat lot will be there if we get to the final.
Quite a few are going to be at this one, mate. I've done a few more bookings
quite a few
today.
of them going to this one, but in the final in particular. So buzzing for it, actually. If we can get to the final, it'll be a really good night. I'll be listen. Obviously, you'd like to think we'd lift the trophy, but even if we didn't quite win the trophy, it would still be a brilliant night in a really good atmosphere, a big party mode kind of thing. And if we do win it, in 40 years, people say, "Where were you?" I'll say, "Well, I was in Hackney Wick, having a really good night with a load of people that I know and stuff." And I've made a lot of friends through West Ham over the last decade, and I'll be with a lot of them for the final. And that's football for me is about memories. Everybody wants something different from football. I always think people invest time, emotion, money. That's what you put in. So what do you want out of it? Well, I want memories. That's what I want. I want good football as well. I'd love to win a trophy, but I want memories, even if it's just that, like you said at the very start, that hope that when you go to Old Trafford, you're going to get that win. That memory, you'll take it with you. We've all got our favourite ones from over the years. Usually it's a giant killing, but like beating Ipswich in the semi-final of the Championship playoff.
Brilliant.
That's up there as a memory. And if we win that trophy, that will be with us for the rest of our life. And I want to do it surrounded by friends and people I've got to know through West Ham and stuff. And it'll be special. I don't want to sit in my living room and watch it by myself. West Ham will still win the trophy, but I want to do it surrounded by people, having a good fucking night. And if we win, it'll carry on till the early hours in the morning. We'll probably end up in Green Street and Barking Road or something. I don't know where we'll end up. It's new to us all. We don't know, but wherever the night takes us. But I've got a feeling a lot of us will end up on Green Street and Barking Road. I think someone will be tying a Claret and Blue scarf to Bobby, I think.
Yeah, I think we'll get a lot of people down there, mate. Definitely. That's where I headed to the last time we sort of had a bit of success and so on, and went down there. Well, I say a bit of success, winning championship playoffs and things like that. So, for me, mate, it's just being around your own and being around other West Ham fans. I don't want to do it in my local pub. I don't want to do it indoors. I want to be with other West Ham. I did the whole I go to every game last year. It cost me an absolute fortune. Like, it's frightening. And I went from lockdown to the European Championships, which cost me an absolute fortune, like a real. I could have bought a property with the amount of money the European Championships cost me, and then went into West Ham being in Europe and followed them out to every game, and it cost me a fortune again. I saw it all. I'm so glad I did. I loved every second of it. But when Ghent this season was the first time I couldn't get a ticket in the away end, I went out there, did the fan park over there, and I could well have just been in the UK. Even though it was nice to travel and it was nice to see somewhere different, it wasn't enough for me to think. So it was straight back here, get the fan park ready over here, make it another level up, another grade up from what we put on before. And the brilliant thing about last year, mate, was we never got in it. We never were at the races. We never felt like we were back in the tie, but we still had a brilliant evening. And even though everything went wrong and we got knocked out, people stayed behind. Not everybody left. We was dancing. We were still singing songs. And it was a great way to sort of sign off from that journey without it being doom and gloom, you know?
And the best thing about the final is it's the final game of the season, whereas the semi-final is still league games to come afterwards, whereas the final is the final game. That's it. When that final whistle goes, the season's finished then. Hopefully, open bus parade following weekend. But like you said, we can have a bloody good night regardless. And it's been a bit of a shit season in terms of the league. The football's been a bit crap. We've all had complaints about players and the manager and stuff. But for 6 hours on the 7th of June, I'm hoping for 6 hours you can forget about all that. Hopefully see us win a trophy, but just enjoy the occasion, enjoy the match. And at the end of the day, listen, we've all got our grumbles, but when you think about it, when Moyes came back in 3.5 years ago, we just sat Pellegrini and, we're in our second European semi-final. It could be in a European final. It's a big achievement. We've come a long way. The problem is foundations are built on a house of cards rather than anything solid. Do you know something, Frankie? If you said to me 6 years ago, you're going to get 2 European campaigns back to back, you're going to hit the semi-final, get knocked out, but the following year, you're going to get into the final. I'd have bit your arm off for left, right, and centre. It's 90 minutes. Anything can happen in 90 minutes. And I just pray that we win the trophy. But I think we will, man. I've thought about it as soon as we qualified for it. That's why I've been excited for the Conference League. We're always going to have a realistic chance of winning. And we've got half a foot in the final already. Get the job done Thursday night, and I cannot wait for that fan park on the 7th of June.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you, mate. And I can't remember who did it. I can't remember who put it in this way, but they turned around and said, all we've got to do is not lose, and we're in a European final. And for that, to have that in front of you and to have that opportunity, I never thought we'd have it this quickly again and be in the position we are now. So, mate, I'm all for it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. Won't be sleeping much until then, I have to say. But no, bring it on. Someone just asked in the chat where the information about Thursday is. I've just dropped a link in the chat, so you can click on that link now. That will take you to the page. But once the video is finished, I will go into the studio and edit and put the link in the description as well. A little bit of lack of planning for me there, but I will get that sorted. Mate, thank you for jumping on. It was great. I probably didn't need to be talking about it, mate, because it just gets me even more excited. So,
but it's important. Get excited. Allow yourself to.
Is, mate,
everybody do it. Just enjoy it. Enjoy it. Like, we've had a miserable season. If you can get excited, get excited. It's important. What's the point in life if you can't have a smile and a giggle now and again?
No, that's it, mate. It is very, very important. I get overexcited though, mate. I get
good. Get overexcited. Get carried away. Start believing.
I'll go and just sleep in Stratford now for the rest of the week. I'll just get an hotel and be there and not want to move, mate. I'm just, I just can't wait to be there. I wish I could wake up tomorrow, mate, and we were on the way. But it's not too far now. It's
3 sleeps.
3 sleeps, mate. 3 sleeps. It's like Christmas, mate, and I'm excited. Yeah. Right, mate, I'm going to sign off there. Thank you for jumping on. I'll put all the information in below. And also, once you sign up to everything as well, if you want any more information, on the link, there is an email that you can reach out to. If you've got any questions, just send an email and you get an instant response back. Doesn't matter what the questions are, just ask away and someone will get back to you. Thank you very much for joining, everyone. And I'll see you all again very soon.
Forever blowing bubbles, pretty bubbles. was in